everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the JRPG Report, episode 199. Thank you for waiting an extra day. As I put out on the socials yesterday, we didn't have enough for a podcast. Let's be fair. So I decided let's at least wait a day, see what happens, and dig around the old internet, see if there's anything I can come up with. And I have. It's still going to be a short podcast, but I think if I recorded yesterday, it probably would have been about 5 minutes, and that's being generous. So, again, thank you for waiting the extra day. If you're watching the video version of this, either on YouTube or on Spotify, you'll say, "Hey, this looks much brighter than it did yesterday because the sun has decided to shine. Therefore, there's light coming in from the window. That always helps brighten it up." You may also hear some subtle background piano playing from time to time, or random child activity, laughter. It is a snow day. If you looked outside, you would say, "Huh?" Because there's maybe a dusting outside, but here in the South, they'll call off school for about any reason. So there you go. That kind of explains things and sets the table. But enough shenanigans. Let's get down to the podcast itself. Like I said, not a whole lot of news, so I just decided, hey, let's have some fun this week since we don't have any news. And so I have now I didn't go to the Steam page to check out that. This is just for both the PSN store and the E-Shop. Excuse me, that was not good. Let's see, 276 RPGs on sale on the eShop, 193 on sale on the PSN store. I'm still waiting for either one of these two to classify as JRPGs instead of just RPGs, but, a man can dream, right? So I'm going to go through these. Maybe you've got a gift card for one of these establishments, even a random card or just some cash laying around you put in the bank and say, hey, what should I spend this extra Christmas money on? And so if you want to grab like a piece of paper or make a mental note as I'm going through here, these are going to be games that we've either talked about here on the podcast or are known, JRPGs from the past that have found themselves on sale. I'll put these in alphabetical order, so it might take a while to kind of go through here. In particular, on the eShop, there's a lot of shovelware titles that look like somebody put together with RPG Maker. Nothing against that those are fine titles, but they're really not stuff I'm going to throw too much attention to. So I will throw the name of it out there and then what it's on sale for, just to speed things up a little bit, not be so mundane. First one that comes listed alphabetically is RFL, the Enhanced Edition, $5. Can't beat that. If you're looking forward to Atelier Sophie 2 coming out here in just a few weeks and haven't played the first one, now's a good time. I think this is on PSN as well, but on the eShop, they've got it down to $23.99. Very good deal on that, to be sure. Let's keep on going down. Not technically a JRPG, as it was made by Ubisoft out of France, but one of my favorite games to come out in recent past, using some awesome mechanics, is Child of Light. They've got the Ultimate Edition, which I think has some of the DLC included in it. $5. I don't remember what I paid full price for this game, but it is absolutely worth it. If you want to get a bundle with the game Valiant Hearts, which was a interesting looking war type game, it's only $7.50. So can you really beat that? I don't think so. Let's see. Keep on going down. Like I said, there's, in particular with the eShop, there are a bunch of games that I don't even know are deserving to be included on any platform. But you've got Digimon Cyber Story Sleuth down to $15. You've got multiple Disgaeas on sale. So 1 complete's going for $20, 4 complete, and 5 complete, also $20. Disgaea 6, which has only been out for about 6 months, they've got it down to $40. That's seems like a really good time to pick that game up if you've not already done so. Dragon Quest Builders 1 and 2, you can get either one of those for $35. Let's keep on going. Oh, I think we skipped. Bad eShop. Why did they skipped quite a few of these on here? Well, my throat is not doing well. I had to do some some post editing. One of the games that you will have a hard time finding physical copies of that came out fairly recently. I guess they just didn't put out the numbers for it. In particular, if you look on Amazon, this game has gone for more than $60. Physical is Fairy Tail. That's a game that I didn't pick up when it first came out. Thought I could get it on sale down the road. I'm not going to get it physically. That seems like unless they make another batch of it. Like I said, going for more than cost. They've got a digital copy on sale for $39.59. So might be your best way to pick that game up if you've been waiting on it. And just throwing this out there as well. If you are a physical collector, make a note of these games as I'm going through, because sometimes, in particular, we'll get down to Shin Megami Tensei 5. The last time it was, or before the holidays, I mentioned it was on sale. It was on sale on Amazon as well. So just because I'm talking digitally does not mean that some of these are not also on sale physical copies. Fail sale, Arbitr's Mark is down to $10.19. They should have done a little bit more to get that under $10. Nice even price range there. God Wars The Complete Legend down to $10. This is a steal right here. The Grandia HD collection. So you get 1 and 2. We've talked about, I wish 3 could have been included in there. There's trademark issues and legal things abound, but this is $40 brand normal price. $20 each would be great, but you can get it right now for $19.99. Wow, what a deal. If you've never played the Grandia games, I highly recommend them. It's one of the best turn-based battle systems that I have played and love to see some more of, if that should ever happen. I don't think we're ever going to get a new one, sadly. But don't sleep on the third one either. It got some hate that I thought was not justified. So if you can find the third one, absolutely play it as well for PS2. Langresser 1 and 2 is down to just $20. That's an extremely good deal. As well, let's see. Wario Crystal H down to $24.99. An extremely mature title, not for the not to play while the kids are around. Both Ni no Kunis are on sale. You can pick up the first one, my preferred of the two by far, for only $10. That's really good. And keep in mind, Ni no Kuni 2 just came out for the Switch back in September. They do have it discounted down to $42. So that's a pretty good deal on that, considering it just came out not too long ago. Again, it skipped on me here. Let's get back up to where we were. I can go through a bunch of these that I do not. The Preeny Presents NIS Classics Volume 1. They've got it discounted $10 down to $29.99. If you want to make games on your Switch, you can do so with RPG Maker MV down to $25. The Sega Ages Phantasy Star game. So that's a port would be the best description of it. They didn't enhance it too much, but yeah, Phantasy Star is $6 on the Switch. Saviors of Sapphire Wings / Stranger of Sword City Revisited, brand new for $50. You can get it for $37.49 right now. I mentioned previously the Shin Megami Tensei 5. It is still down to $42 right now, and this thing just came out in November, so to get any discount on a basically brand new game, that's pretty good. Shining Resonance Refrain down to just $10. While not JRPGs, certainly have the mechanics to them. The South Park games are down to $7.50 for the first one and $15 for the second. Sword Art Online Hollow Realization Deluxe Edition. They got listed at $50. It's probably a bit pricey for it, but down to $7.50 on sale. The Alliance Alive HD Remastered down to $20. Tears of Avia down to $13.50. Now here's a game. If you have not played this one and you are a Tales fan, if you played through Tales of Arise and really like it, kind of want to see where the series came from, what some would describe as perhaps the best Tales game, certainly a strong contender for it. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, $12.50. That's really, really good. The Caligula Effect Overdose down to just $20. You can pick up both Cold Steel titles on the Switch. Still waiting on 1 to 2 to get over here, but if you want to play them out of order, be my guest. Cold Steel 3 is $30, and Cold Steel 4 down to $36. Let's see, we're getting down to the bottom of the list here, and I'm not seeing a whole lot. Again, it skipped on me. That's not fun. I had all this loaded before. Valkyria Chronicles. The first one is $20. Valkyria Chronicles 4 down to just $15. And a couple of Yeast titles. Brand new Monstrum Nox down to $40. And Part 8 is just $20 right now on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I don't know how long these sales are going to go on for on the eShop in particular. I could not find a definitive date on how long the discount's going to go on for. So you might want to kind of hustle on these titles that I don't know how long they're going to stay on there for. Obviously, this was a holiday sale, so probably not much longer. If any of these things stood out to you, get on it and quickly. We'll take a brief pause here so I can get my throat hopefully working correctly, and we'll go through all the PSN titles here in just a second. All right, I think my throat's still trash, but let's keep on carrying on. Over to the PSN store. Now, I can tell you how long these are going to go on for. This is through the 19th. Some of them may go off early, but I believe they said this sale was going to be through the 19th of this month. Again, RFL Enhanced Edition down to just $3.50. I mentioned Atelier Sophie. It's also on PSN for $24. Again, not a JRPG by strictest of definitions. However, Battle Chasers Night War is down to just $9. If you're a PS Plus member, you can even save $10 more off of that. Highly recommended game. Man, I've talked about that one a few times before. I really liked it. Code Vein down to just $15. Christ Tales, both versions of it, PS4 or PS5, down to just $20. May need to pick that up. See if I got any extra dollars. I don't know. Cyber Dimension Neptunia 4 Goddesses Online, down to just $9. The Dark Cloud games. Talk about a game series that really needed a third installment. That would have been nice. But you can pick them up for $7.50 right now each. Especially part 2. That might be something else I need to invest in. Dark Souls, all of them are on sale in one way, shape, or form. The Death End Request 2 is down to just $15. Digimon World Next Order, $12. Disgaea 4 completes $25. 5 is down to $15. 5 complete is $20. That's pretty cheap. The Dragon Quest Builders game's also on sale. Dragon Quest 11S Definitive Edition, $26. That is pretty cheap. Dragon Star Vanar down to $15. This one just came out not too long ago. An interesting looking game, Dungeon Encounters. You can get it now for just $24. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles S, the remaster, is down to just $12. Final Fantasy VII Remake is $24. I thought I saw Integrate was on sale too, but I'm not seeing it on here. Final Fantasy 12. Maybe the last good one in the mainline series, down to 25. 15 Pocket Edition down to 12. We're going to talk about this game in a little while. Final Fantasy X and X-2 Remaster, just $12.50 for those two great games. It's hard to go wrong with that one. Haven is down to $15. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? It's down to $16. The answer is yes. Yes, it is. Landgrasser 1 and 2 also down to $25. Legend of Mana, not been out that long, down to just $21. The Light Fairy Tale games, kind of JRPG inspired. The first one, episode 1, is $5. Episode 2 down to $7.50. Those are pretty cheap anyway. There's only $10 each if you don't want to pick them up right now. Hyperdimension Neptunia V2. See, I got it right this time. Is down to $10. Let's see, where's some of these? Not quite sure on. Neptunia Reverse, not been out that long, down to just $30. Nier Automata, pick this game up and play it, please. $20. Nier Replicant, not been out that long, down to $39. Now here's a good deal. This Ni no Kuni 2. So I think part of my disappointment with the game was obviously it wasn't like part 1. But 2, it didn't feel like a complete game. I paid $60 for it. Felt disappointed. $9.59 on sale right now. I'd have been much happier with that entire gameplay experience if that was the case. Anunnaki is down to $25. Persona 5. So you can now choose your pick your poison on this one, okay? So Persona 5 Ultimate Edition. Not Royal, but just 5 Ultimate Edition. So it comes with all those extra bundles. You can get that for $20 right now. Or you can get Persona 5 Royal for $24. Or you can get Persona 5 Royal Ultimate Edition with all the DLC stuff included with it. $40. That's normally $100. That is quite a savings and worth every penny. That would be incredible. Resonance of Fate 4K HD Remastered Edition down to $21. Scarlet Nexus, that's not been out that long, nearly half off, down to $33. The Secret of Mana remake that I can't say I recommend it highly, but for $20, that's not too bad. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Remastered is down to $30. Star Ocean First Departure R down to just $8.39. Got that in my buggy. I got to pull the trigger. Got to pick it up. Also, Star Ocean 4 is down to the same price of $8.39. Definitely recommend that one. Sword Art Online Alicization Lycra down to $24. If you didn't get Tales of Arise, how about now? It is on sale for $42. Very good deal on that. Tears of Avia down to $12. Alliance HD Remaster, Alliance Alive HD Remaster, $20. So that's on sale on this one as well. We're getting down near the bottom of it here. Trials of Mana, $25. Can't beat that. That's a very, very good deal. Water Arms 3, the PS2 game, down to $7.50. And Ys Origin, down to just $8. So if you've been kind of waiting a little bit to pick these games up, maybe you heard me talk about them when they first came out and thought, that sounds pretty good, but I don't know if it's full price. Well, now's a good time to try and pick that up. Like I said, I don't know about the E-Shop titles, but all those PSN ones are until the 19th of January. All right, now let's talk some actual news. We've been having some fun with some games on sale, but here is some news for you. Like I said, there wasn't anything that really popped off the screen. Didn't have a whole lot to talk about, so let's just get right into it. The Bravely Default team, they took to Twitter and announced plans to release plans to announce multiple titles within 2022. Specifically, the Bravely Default team said to keep an eye out for several upcoming releases and announcements throughout the year, alongside the release of Triangle Strategy. So that's an interesting tidbit. Obviously, they just mentioned Triangle Strategy coming out in March, and we know Bravely Default Brilliant Lights. What's the name? Maybe the mobile game that looks just like the series, so why wouldn't it be? But that also hints at maybe there's something else that we don't know about coming from the Bravely Default team. I'll keep you posted on it. A lot of this comes from those New Year's Revolution team, cards, and yeah, we'll see. Sometimes you can dive a bit too much into those, as was the case. I'm not going to throw this guy under the bus because Lord knows I can't translate Japanese. I can barely translate English sometimes. So a Twitter user definitely put it out there that Yuji Hora's comments on the Dragon Quest series in his card, and I believe it was a mistranslation, and he kind of ran with it. Here's the actual greeting card statement that was made. The staff is also working hard on Dragon Quest III Remake and various other things, as well as Dragon Quest XII, of course. There's more and more of the DQ series to come. We know about a lot of those games coming out here soon. But personally, I'd be happy if scuba diving and airsoft can make a comeback. And so that's, as Gametsu pointed out, that's kind of a running thing he's said for many years. He's into scuba diving and airsoft, and has mentioned it in past interviews as things he is into. Now, this Twitter user in particular said during his New Year's message, Yuji Horii confirmed that Dragon Quest III is coming out this year. Again, that's not what he said. But it could come out, and we are certainly hopeful that it comes out this year. That was not the quote. It could have been a mistranslation. And he hopes to see the return of underwater exploration and mountaineering in Dragon Quest XII. Again, not what he said. And did I miss something in previous Dragon Quest games? I mean, maybe there was something touched on. Again, I'm not going to mention the person's name, as just don't want to get into that. But yeah, gotta watch your translation. Obviously, sometimes they do that on purpose to get internet clicks. But yeah, like I said, I fully expect Remake Part 3 to come out this year. I'm very hopeful that it comes out this year. 12, not coming out for a while. Speaking of Project, I'm never not going to call it Project Triangle Strategy. It's just impossible. Speaking of Triangle Strategy, when the game comes out, you'll be able to listen to the soundtrack, of course, but they are releasing it as part of a 4-part soundtrack CD on the official Squaresoft website. 4 CDs going to go for $42.99. There's no track listing at the moment, but you'd have to imagine it's going to be pretty phenomenal. I believe one user commented on that he's already pre-ordered it, and from what he's heard, it sounds like it's going to be well worth that amount of money. Speaking of some teases for the upcoming year, Koei Tecmo revealed that has several plans for Atelier. This series marks its 25th anniversary. This was in their New Year's column. It does have plans outside of Atelier Sophie 2. More information is coming in the future. I fully expect an Atelier Razia 3 announcement. It makes sense during this anniversary window to announce such a thing. I guess it's just a matter of time until that happens. Maybe there's another series they want to make a sequel to. I don't know, but as soon as I do find out something, you guys know I will pass it along to you. PlayStation Now adds Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age. We mentioned that it was on sale on the PSN store, but you can also get it on PS Now. As I was going through that list, there was several of those games that are on PS Now, so it sounds like it's going to be more and more of a good value, and any reason to play Final Fantasy XII, you should absolutely do that. We mentioned Shin Megami Tensei 5 on sale. Well, it has sold over 800,000 units since its release back in November, so just 2 months. So that's a pretty good chunk in a short amount of time. I do feel like they have limited themselves on how many sales they can make by not putting it on PlayStation platforms, but that was a decision that Atlas made, and there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. This just came out today. There was a new trailer for Monster Hunter Rise. You're like, hey, that game came out a long time ago. This is the PC version, pal. It is coming out on January 13th via Steam. The new trailer introduces the PC version's key features, including new filters. You can do it in black and white, sepia, Japanese style, Warring Land style, and 2 versions of cinema style. I saw the screenshots for this. Didn't blow me away. If you want to play like that, that's perfectly fine. But it didn't do anything for me. That's just speaking personally. Of course, ultra-wide display support, 4K resolution out support, high-resolution textures, and uncapped frame rate, as well as various customization options, were all detailed in the new trailer, which, where could you check that out at? I don't. Oh, over on our YouTube page, JRPG Report. You can check that out, as well as video versions of the podcast that you're listening to right now and previous ones, along with the trailers kind of thrown in there and images. You guys know all that fun stuff and where to go for that. My favorite Tales of Arise is Tales of the Abyss. I've not made a secret of that. Bandai Namco announced that the anime episodes will be uploaded to YouTube. I believe that's said as of January 1st. So maybe it's on there right now. So go check out the Tales of YouTube channel. It's a very good channel. I've gotten several things from it. Back when we were really pubbing up Tales of Luminaria, they were hitting that one pretty hard. The first episode is available right now. And additional episodes will appear on a weekly basis. All episodes will feature English subtitles. However, the Japanese dub will be the only audio available. So there you go. There's a total of 26 episodes. This originally came out back in 2008 in Japan, and several voice actors from the game reprised their roles. I don't know if this is just... I always wondered this, especially with the Tales of... Are they just the games? Like, made into anime? Maybe I need to finally watch this thing and see if, in fact, it is just kind of a rehash of it or a addition to it in any way, shape, or form. Talk about a game that needs an HD remaster. Hope you guys are listening, Bandai Namco. I'd buy that. Absolutely. Mary Skelter 2 will launch for PC on January the 13th. You can get it at the launch price discount of 15% off. Now through launch. It is available via Steam for $34.99, and it will be available to 50% discount the first week of release. This also includes the remake of Mary Skelter Nightmares. Improvements have been made in the remake, have also been reflected in Mary Skelter 2 for an even more intense experience. So, if you've been waiting for this series to come to PC, your time is now. Last bit of news we've got on there. Mutan Insight is hiring staff to work on a, quote, high-end RPG remake slash title private for PlayStation 5, end quote. And they are developing this in a development environment using the game engine such as Unreal Engine 5. It's a pretty curious little tidbit of information. Mutant Insight is a subsidiary of Mutant, and they previously worked on character models for the Atelier and Blue Reflection series, Final Fantasy 15 downloadable content episode Arden, and background models for Persona Q2, and more. So they've got some pedigree behind them. Be interesting to see what that means. A high-end RPG remake for PlayStation 5. That may imply that this is a remake of a PlayStation. A game previously played only on PlayStation. And so I know the way most of your guys' minds think. I'm going to guess you're thinking, hey, we just talked about Chrono Cross. Maybe that's the remake that they're doing. It seems like that remake December window has come and gone. I believe, at least as far as that goes, they were talking about the mobile thing. Another thing that you're probably thinking of, it's high time they remade Legend of Dragoon. I'd agree with that. It could stand it. I'd also like to see a sequel, so maybe a remake would lead to a sequel, as well as another Chrono game, if we're being honest with you. But we'll just have to wait and see. They're not ready to announce what that is just yet, but when they do, I'll let you know. That's for sure. We got one more thing I want to talk about here in just a minute as we wrap up episode 199 of the JRPG Report. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget you can follow us each and every day on our social media channels on Facebook and on Twitter for up-to-date information, and then we break it down on the podcast of what it means to you. If you trailers that come out during the week and you want one place to go and check them all out at, that would be our YouTube channel. And you can support this podcast if you really, really like what you see in here through our Patreon channel, JRPG Report. You can join the fine folks over there who say, thank you, James, for your hard work. We appreciate it. Here is a small amount of cash. There's certain levels that you can sign up with over there, and really, I appreciate it. I don't say it enough how much I appreciate each and every one of you guys who takes your hard-earned money and gives me a little bit of it to keep putting this out each and every week, and fires me up each and every time. You guys know I've been in a bit of a gaming rut. Haven't really known what to play for a while now. And this article in particular kind of helped me in that. One of the games we mentioned on sale, as it is from time to time, you could have played it on PlayStation 2 when it first came out, the PlayStation 3 remaster of it, the PlayStation Vita remaster of it, and the PlayStation 4 HD remaster of it. You can also play it on PS Now, and I'm talking about Final Fantasy X and X-2. Two fantastic titles, very different from each other, both in terms of story and gameplay, but very high on my list of beloved games. And they did, and PlayStation Blog did a interview with director Yoshinori Kitase, and he talked about some of the development secrets of this game, and I thought, I can't say for certain if I played this game since PS2. I own the remake on PS3. I don't think I actually played it. I own the remaster on Part 4, and I had not played it. So it could be close to 20 years since I played this as well. And I want to see what it looked like. And let me tell you, at least on PlayStation 4, it looks pretty phenomenal. Some of the things look a little odd if you're comparing it, especially to now. We're talking about a PlayStation 2 game that they were able to make beautiful. That already was beautiful. But yeah, I'm about 3 hours into it, and I believe I've at least got out of my rut, and I'm going to play through The first one. I don't know about part 2 just yet, but I'm definitely going to play through 10. Anyway, here is his article, and I believe it's not a question and answer, it's just him having wrote this article. I'll read it out to you. We put a lot of new in Final Fantasy X. It was the first game in the Final Fantasy series to be built in full 3D, and we introduced new types of presentation, a new battle system, and it even came out on new hardware. And it spawned a first direct sequel in the series history, Final Fantasy X-2. The game was similarly fresh and had a very different style, tone, and structure to the rest of the series. I worked as producer on 10 and its sequel, and both available now on PlayStation Now as the remasters, though he thought he'd share some special memories of working on the game. As Final Fantasy X was the first game to be built on PS2, there are always challenges and decisions to be made when working with new hardware, and that was certainly the case with FF10. One key decision we faced was around the visuals. Even though PS2 offered a big increase in power from the original PlayStation, there was still a limit to the hardware specs. So to depict a new graphical style, we had to choose whether to prioritize resolution or the number of colors. Initially, we thought it would be more beneficial to use more colors. We thought that would help us really depict the world of Spira in a vibrant way. However, when we looked at the trends in other companies' games released while we were working in development, it became increasingly clear that fans were hoping for higher resolution next-generation games. As a result, we switched from focusing on the number of colors to making the game as high resolution as possible. And we did this about 6 months before the master deadline. This meant we had to make major modifications to the game we've made so far, which was a big risk in terms of the schedule. Fortunately, our excellent programmers and designers did a wonderful job. In the end, a high-res Final Fantasy X was born, and we were able to achieve the sort of high-end visuals you'd expect from a next-generation game. Indeed, they'd always, even with the ones that didn't hit the bar, the visuals have always been top tier. The new visual style added other challenges too. For example, FF10 was the first game in the series not to include a world map. This is because the game was built in full 3D, and that's expensive. As game developers, we sometimes have to make decisions that balance game design with ballooning production costs. In this case, dropping the overworld map was the most realistic solution we had available. Makes sense we finally had that explanation. Why, after all these years, we still don't have one. I mean, obviously they did in 15, but that was open world, so it's kind of like, it's a hard balance there. In prior games, Final Fantasy VII and VIII had been set in a steampunk and science fiction inspired worlds, respectively. So we wanted to do something different. This might also be the reason why art director Yusuke Naro came up with the concept of having a world with an Asian feel to it, and that became the inspiration for Spira. That wasn't the only break from tradition included in Final Fantasy X either. We also reinvented the combat system. The previous games had used the active time battle system, in which players could take actions whenever a bar filled in real time. For the new game, we wanted to create battles with a greater strategic depth than ever before. The designer who had worked on the battle system had also worked on Front Mission. He was very skilled at creating strategy games, so we moved to a turn-based system instead. We also changed how character progression works by introducing the sphere grid. This let players manually improve their characters by choosing upgrades from a grid. I've been a great fan of board games for a long time, so I wanted to create that analog sense of moving pieces and filling the board up with them. One new feature I was personally very passionate about was the introduction of voice acting. I mentioned this in my last blog, but I felt a bit dissatisfied with the fact that Final Fantasy VIII wasn't voiced. We achieved more realistic visuals and sounds, but when I think about the scenes in that game, I believe they would have been even more emotional had there been voice acting included. That was a driving force to make it happen for FF10. Of course, this wasn't the first time we've recorded voice lines, so there was a lot of work. Of course, this was the first time we'd ever recorded voice lines. There was a lot of work to get it come to fruition. Nowadays, it's the norm to get cast members to go into the recording booth one at a time and then record all their lines separately. However, Back in the day, we got multiple cast members to go into the studio at once and record conversation scenes together. Because of this, I think we were able to bring out natural performances despite it being our first time. Ultimately, I'm proud of what we achieved with Final Fantasy X. I think it's a landmark game, both in terms of scenario, graphics, camera work, sound, voices, and motion capture. It achieved the ideal cinematic quality that the Final Fantasy series had been aiming for. I think the style perfected here helped establish the look of future games, one of which was 10-2. And then he gets into the next part of the game. After Final Fantasy X, we started to feel like we didn't want the World of Spirit and its characters to be over in one chapter. We wanted to let them take center stage and flesh them out even more. That's why we started production on FF10-2, the first direct sequel in the series' history. We decided to explore a world that had become peaceful after the events of the previous game and tell a different kind of story. Rather than the theme from the previous game that delves into particular relationships, such as between a man and a woman or parent and child, we wanted a bright and lighthearted narrative that would give the game a cheery tone. That upbeat attitude was reflected in the game's playable characters. Unlike previous games in the series, 10-2 has an all-female party, Yuna, Riku, and the new character, Pain. Many games at the time, not just Final Fantasy, had male protagonists, and I wanted to tell a story with Yuna as a strong female character. I thought that would strike a chord with even more players. The tone was further reinforced by the structure of the game. Unlike in 10, once you follow the drama from a linear fashion, the quests in 10-2 can be accessed in any order. To increase the variety even more, we increased the number of minigames available in the game. I recall the most challenging was to make Sphere Break, a strategically deep coin game. A single game designer working on the game everything, including the programming, single-handedly. When it came to combat, 10-2 moved to a new version of the ATB system, which lets players time their attacks for combos and more effective attacks. You may be wondering why the change from the prior game systems. It's because the designer for the battles changed. The assistant game designer from Final Fantasy X became the lead for its sequel, and he wanted to use a different system. A big element of the new system were dress spheres, which allowed the player to seamlessly switch between roles in the combat. For example, you could change from a damage dealer gunner to the healing white mage, a thief, and many more options in the heat of battle, each accompanied with a flashy outfit change. This system became about partly as a result of the story being of the original FF10. In that game, summons end up disappearing from the world, so the transformations were a way to work in spectacular visual effects players had come to expect. For the animations themselves, we looked to a genre of kids' TV shows in Japan, in which the heroes transformed or take on a new form. The best part of each episode is when the character transforms with a dynamic performance, and we took inspiration from it. It may sound odd, but one of the biggest challenges we faced when making 10-2 was what to call it. Having a sequel to a mainline game was unheard of, and when we suggested 10-2, the company was initially worried it would be mistaken for Final Fantasy XII and turned it down. Since then, we've grown fond of it, of course. Ultimately, the game proved more divisive than other Final Fantasy games. I suspect that's due in part to the fact its bright and poppy direction gives it a very different flavor to the entries in the series. But I think the way that Final Fantasy games try to break away from preconceived ideas is something truly wonderful about the series, and 10-2 is a perfect example of that. There you go. What do you think? I think that's a fantastic look into the games. Obviously, as I'm only about 3 hours into it, but having played it and seen the vision firsthand, if you've not played these games, you absolutely need to pick them up. In particular, the remasters did a very good job of bringing them into a modern setting in terms of graphics. I don't know if I'd want to go back and play the PS2 versions. Looking at it today, you'd probably hurt your eyes. But yeah, they are great games. I don't know where I would rank 10. I would say it's top 5 of Final Fantasy games, but probably much closer to 5 than 1. Great game. It's a little cheesy at times, but that battle system is fantastic. That's for sure. It's fun to explore things. Highly up there. So, hey, this turned out to be a regular regular things podcast. I know there was a bit of a filler in there with this article and the games on sale, but that's what you got to do sometimes. That's the way it goes. So, yeah, that's going to wrap up episode 199. Obviously, that means 200 is coming next week. I don't know anything special to do for it, so we'll just keep carrying on. It'll just be a cool number and mark a milestone. We may look back at some of the stats, how long it's been out, and all that fun stuff, but I don't think we're going to do anything too special with it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Unless something changes, it should be on Thursday as normal, and hopefully we got some fun stories to talk about. Until then, all right, get back out there and level up.